Hello, my name is Sydney, and today I thought I would talk about some of the things I have a habit of doing when it comes to writing, like certain plot points that show up a lot in my stories, or just certain things that always tend to happen. A lot of these are faults, I think. Like, you know, when it happens once, it's like, yeah, sure, it's fine. If it happens a second time, it's like, But if it happens like a third time, or if it happens in every story that I write, then it's kind of just like, okay, something's going on here. Some of these things are not in the drafts of stories as they are now. These are like some things from previous drafts that I've later gone on to fix. So first off, let me show you my journal. So this is one of the few journals that I have. Weapons of Mass Creation. I got this from redbubble.com. Obviously not a sponsored video. I just colored in the pens because I wanted to, because yeah. But anyway, in this journal I write lists. You know, some people have diaries where they write out, you know, a whole page of whatever happened to them. I do lists because I don't have the attention span to write out a whole page of things that happened to me. If I'm gonna spend that much time writing something, I'd rather be like fictional. When it comes to like just personal things about me, I keep them in this journal in lists. So one of the lists in this journal is titled, "In my writing, I have a habit of ... And I've so far collected 7 things on this list. And so let me just read them out to you and talk about them a little bit. Number 1, making supposedly dead people come back to life, people whose deaths were uncertain to begin with. You see this a lot in TV shows, I think, where that character who you thought was dead is actually, oh, twist, spoiler, they're alive, you know? It's like, it's alive! It's alive! I realized that I kind of do this a lot, you know, like I'll be a bit ambiguous. I won't say how the character died, or like a character will say that somebody died but they never actually saw them die. You know, there's always some sort of ambiguity with it, and then that character will come back to life later on. This doesn't happen with every character who dies, but it does happen with, you know, a couple of them in some of my stories. One character thinks their family is dead, but it turns out their family is not so dead. Another character in another story doesn't have a family, hasn't seen their family in years, probably thinks they're dead, they might be dead or whatever. So it's just one of those things that keeps rearing its head, and I'm like, okay, one time, like I get one time to do this, and after that it's like, okay, and then you can never truly believe that anybody's dead ever again, you know? So it kind of takes away from those characters who really are dead. Obviously this requires some reworking of the plot, and I have been doing that. Number 2, having a character that is somewhat unhinged at the start of the story lose their mind by the end. So, you know, there's always those characters who something's kind of off about them, you know? And so what I'll do is I'll have a character, something will be off about them, and as the story progresses, they get a little bit more unhinged, and by the end of it they've completely lost their mind, they've gone on some kind of rampage or something. And this is kind of a trope that I really like to implement, because I just think it's really interesting to show that character progression. How do they get from being someone who has this sort of tick to being someone who's completely just lost their mind? So it's a really interesting progression. It certainly has some interesting effects on the plot and of the other characters around them. And so, I don't know, this trope might be here to stay. So, we'll see. Number 3, having characters who are twins. I don't know why I like to have characters who are twins. I think as of maybe like a month ago, because I've changed some of the characters a little bit, but I think I had 3 sets of twins between 2 of my stories. So I was like, okay, somebody cannot be twins here. I don't even have a twin. I've known people who are twins, but like nobody in my family is twins, so I don't know what this fascination is with me and twins. But so I was like, okay, somebody here cannot be a twin. 2 of the characters, they don't have to be twins. We'll just make them brothers who are about a year apart. That's about as close as we can get with those ones. And then another character, no, actually 4 sets of twins. Oh my gosh, 3 of them in the same series. At least 1 character from each set of twins in that story is a main character. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I have a problem here. One of them, I'm going to do the same thing where they just need to be brothers who are relatively close in age, but 2 of those sets of twins do need to remain because it's an important element of the plot. So, yeah. We reduced it from 4 sets of twins to 2. I think we're making some progress here. Number 4, making people look at each other a lot. So, you know, shitty first drafts, right? There's always those words that seem to keep appearing in your story. Descriptions can sometimes get really repetitive, especially in a first draft. Then when it comes to later drafts, you can go and you can change those descriptions or spice them up. But just kind of like when I'm writing those first drafts, I always say the word look. So and so looked here. So and so looked at the other character. She looked over there. You know, like I'm always describing where people are looking, which, you know, it's not always necessary, but I'm still trying to work through that, like figuring out when to say things, when people looked at things versus other ways to describe people looking at things without actually saying that they looked at them. And I'm still working on that. My writing style sometimes tends to have long-winded not run-on sentences, but they just like, they keep going. There's a lot of clauses, commas, em dashes. Sometimes there's a semicolon in there. Like the sentence can go on for a while, and it's something I'm trying to break, because like when I've gone to creative writing workshops, sometimes somebody will mark a long sentence, like this sentence kind of got off track, or this sentence, you know, I'm not really sure what it was trying to say, or it's trying to do too many things at once. So another thing I'm working on. But sometimes, you know, you do need that sentence variety. This is me justifying my bad habit. But you know, I like to keep it, like, it's interesting. Sometimes you can do a lot of powerful things with a long sentence. Number 6, sending characters, particularly my main character, to the infirmary multiple times throughout the story. Basically, the main character gets hurt somehow, and of course, you know, you want them to heal, you want them to get better, so you put them in the infirmary. I don't exactly want to change this one either, because like they're getting hurt for good reason. Because they made some sort of decision, you know, like this is just, it's basically just a consequence of their actions, because you have to have consequences for your characters, especially if they start breaking rules and stuff. So yeah, my characters will probably continue to be getting hurt, and they'll probably continue to go to the infirmary if there's an infirmary around, because sometimes they don't have the infirmary around. They have to just make do with what they have. They have to suffer through the pain. Sorry, characters. I can't make you Mary Sue's. I can't make you perfect people. You're gonna have to get a little roughed up. And number 7, writing in fragments in emotional scenes. So this kind of relates to the long sentences one from a couple numbers before, but like when I tend to do the long sentences when I'm describing things, like when I'm getting descriptive. But when it comes to my character being very emotional, because I write in third person limited, when it comes to them being very emotional, the sentences will kind of start to turn into fragments, and then they'll start to become run-on sentences. And then because I'm playing with the constructs of grammar a little bit, because you know how there's a whole thing, you have to learn the rules before you can break them. So I'm doing that. I'm breaking the rules because I learned the rules. So I'm changing the sentence styles up. And I really like to do that. I don't do it all the time. I just tend to do it when the character is getting really emotional. So yeah, those are 7 things that I have a habit of doing in my writing. I wonder if you guys have any of these kinds of things. These tics, these habits that you tend to keep coming back to, any tropes that keep showing up in your stories. I'd really like to know, so let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a like, hit subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye!